People from New York say New Jersey people can't drive, and people from Jersey say New York people can't drive in Jersey. It's kind of like, God forbid they go into each other's states, they forget how to drive.
Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in Cristian Machado. How are you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Thank you for having me on, dude.
Thank you for being here. Happy holidays. We're here at the end of the year. It has been a heck of a year, ups and downs for everybody. I sincerely hope you and your family and all your musical collaborators are well, and everybody at the label as well for setting this up. I appreciate it. But I like to start every interview for the time being, just making sure everybody's good. You never know what's going on in someone's personal life or family.
Sure. No, I mean, I've been good. Man, getting by, having the same struggles and challenges that everybody else is. I think that the situation has brought us all, it has divided those that are like, have this intense political mind, but it has brought together those that aren't over interested in politics and just are trying to get through the challenges. So
I
it's
hear
definitely a
you.
challenging year. And I think we're all doing the best we can, man. It's all we could do.
That's it, man. Hold on till it gets better. That's all you can do. But luckily, we have had music, and I really appreciate you for putting out this record, Hollywood E Sycamore on Chesky Records. Shout out to those guys for setting this up and supporting you. And yeah, man, it's a real breath of fresh air. Obviously, everybody knows you from your career in heavy music, and it will continue on next year with another new album. We'll talk about that in a few. But I really enjoyed this record, and I have to say, like, it's really cool to see these different sides of you as an artist that I think we probably never got to, hear or have you explore in El Nino.
Yeah. I mean, it's the acoustic thing is something that we always experimented with in the band. And acoustic guitars is the first instrument that was shown to me, that I was taught by my mother, so it's something that kind of stuck with me my entire life. um, but we experimented with it in El Nino, and I always wrote music from an acoustic point of view and on acoustic guitars, but I never got to really have this much to say, under that kind of style with this kind of emotion. I did in small pieces and things like that, but the last couple of years have been challenging, and I think that music allowed me somewhat of a street to kind of get things off my chest, to kind of have some acceptance, to really be able to say to myself, okay, I'm gonna take a picture of this moment in my emotions, but I'm gonna move forward past this once I get this off my chest. And I think that that's kind of what drove me to it. That, and having the right support from friends and family, saying, hey, yeah, you should do that, because I think that matters a lot for an artist. A lot of artists don't, some artists don't need support, but at my level, really, there's still a lot of questions. What are the right things to do? What should I do if I'm leaving the band? What's the right thing to do? But I had really great support from friends and from family, and it felt natural. The songs felt really good. And after I wrote a couple of them and heard back, yeah, they're cool, these songs are good, you should try it, I was like, okay, I should try it then.
Nice. I like that. And what was the first song you wrote that ended up on this album?
The first song that I wrote was Pase Lo Que Pase, which has kind of like a really strong bilingual thing going on. And it's ironic that it was the first song that I wrote, because it really is the most powerful song that on my album says, this has occurred, and I have to get past this. And there's no way I'm going to let this hold me back. And that's why the chorus says, whatever may happen, let it happen in peace. And whatever you say, who are you really saying it about? I felt in a moment that I had to try to walk through the struggle that I was feeling, certainly between the separation of the band, separation of my relationship. I felt like there was definitely, this hole I could have went into if I didn't have music and friends. And that song kind of said right from the beginning that, this album is going to be about the struggles that I've been through, but mostly about needing to accept first what my mistakes were in that, what mistakes I made in the transitions, and also the fact that I have to move forward. You know, I have a family, I have kids, and I'm not married or anything like that. I'm not in a relationship, but still, you know, I have my mother, my sister. I got to worry about my kids, and I felt like I have to move forward. And then 2020 happened, and it kind of brought everything into perspective. You know, when 2020 happened, and then after everything that I had gone through, I was like, wow, you know, the whole world is going through a massive struggle right now, and you know, for lack of a better word, you know, I felt like everybody was relating, you know, to me at some point, and I felt like, wow, we're all struggling. I no longer feel alone in this challenge. And you know, as sadistic as it is, having the world going through the struggle and me going through the same struggle made me realize, you know, I have to be grateful for the things that aren't messed up in my life, because a lot more could be messed up. That's one thing that I try to remain positive, but you know, I do realize the album has this really dark core that it comes from. Um, but you know, verbally, it's put in a very accepting manner, I suppose.
For sure. Actually, I was going to say overall, I find the album is very positive and upbeat. Despite obviously some tough subjects for you personally, and definitely anybody that's coming along and listening to it will relate. And it's great. You've always used your music as a bridge. I think it's you know being vulnerable or admitting that you have problems and asking for help is definitely not a bad thing. And I don't know why it's very stigmatized in the metal and rock world, but it shouldn't be. Like, that's the human condition is, sometimes we need some help. Can't do it all, can't cowboy it up all the time.
Yeah, yeah, and it's definitely stigmatized. I would say the younger you are, the more you're likely to stigmatize going to get therapy. You know, the older you get, the quicker you realize that time is temporary, and the more that you leave things, the more that you leave seams untied, and you know, relationships undone, and things in chaos, the more that you feel like, you know, you're getting older, and are you really really making your life happy, you know? So I think it's the older you get, the more you realize, hey, I don't have all the answers. When you're younger, you think you could just get by or look away from the answers. You don't need them, I'll be fine. But when you get older and you face challenges, you definitely want to, and sometimes it's not through so much therapy, but it might be like a friend or a family member that talks to you that kind of gets you by. With me, it was definitely a lot of friends at first, and then I went eventually and talked to like a real therapist that explained the psychology behind why people feel certain ways during certain times, and it helped me greatly, without a doubt.
Nice. And I think after this year, we all, if anybody had any preconceived notions or whatever, I think, a lot of people are going to, continue to need to reach out and get help. And hopefully there's support there. I know the end of the year is a tough time for everybody. So I hope anybody listening knows we always have links to help lines and stuff on our site. And even in some of these videos, you'll see, like, you need to reach out. We have like the helpline numbers and stuff like that, because the world is a very tough and unforgiving place, and and people do feel alone. So it's good. I think by you creating that dialogue is very useful and helpful.
Yeah, in 2020 for sure. I think a lot of my friends are going through intense struggle, man. You know, and struggling more than what I've had to go through. You know, there's a lot of friends that have lost family members in this year, um, and it's tough. It's tough for sure. But hopefully, we'll get back to some kind of like, you know, feeling like we're a society and not so much endangered, um, and hopefully we'll be able to get like live music back. I think that live music is this primordial, you know, thing that's kind of in our blood or instinct, getting together and celebrating together as humans to a dance. You know, it sounds so tribal and so primordial that it makes sense why people love it so much, you know.
Right on. This has to be probably the longest stretch of time you've been home. Or I
By the way,
imagine.
if you hear kids in the back, it's because they got a bunch of toys, so they're playing in the other room.
All good. Keep them
They're all like
busy.
screaming at their toys and
Yeah, Christmas is fun, and then the next day, half your stuff is broken. At least when I was a kid, it was like that. But came from a big family, so that would happen. But I was gonna say this is probably the longest stretch of time you've been home in like 20 plus years, right?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, because it's been, I don't know. I mean, it's been 2 years, 2.5 years since any, performance. I mean, luckily, as close as I got to any wannabe performance was recording the album was a performance because we recorded the album live. So we had to perform it. There wasn't like this learn it by part kind of thing. We had to learn every song. Um, and then the other thing was like shooting a couple videos. Really, other than that, there's been nothing to really look forward to. I have had tours that were booked. We originally wanted to release the album somewhere in like March, and I was going to go on tour in March, and then this thing started happening in like mid-January. So we decided we were going to move everything. We moved everything to July, and then in July it was still bad, so we moved everything to September, and then we still are here, so we moved everything to 2021. Let's see what happens, but it's been a while for sure, but I look forward to getting back. I got like a really cool visual and audio concept of how I would like the show to go. And it's going to be extremely different from most of the shows people are used to going to. But, the feeling of brotherhood and sisterhood, and also of accepting past pain and moving forward and laughing and smiling about past pain is going to be one of the things that I try to relate with the audience on.
Nice. And then I think about you as a performer, having seen you perform many times. It's got to be a bit of a trip to just kind of perhaps focus and be in front of a mic with a guitar and be a little more stationary. Have you been working on that just in preparation since you did have a tour booked?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, before the album was done, I demoed all the songs, and I we prepared for like 2-3 months where we met 3-4 times a week, and 2 to 3 times a week really. But we got together in LA, and we rehearsed all the songs together, beginning to end. So we did do a lot of preparation for recording of the album. And even before we wrote the songs, I was already demoing songs at home and sending them to the label to kind of have an idea of what the album could sound like. So I did the preparation for it. I mean, once COVID hit, it felt like the whole world might die. So I think we all went into like this initial shock of, okay, I'm not going to have work and people are dying. What's really going to happen? And even myself, I mean, I thought, man, well, I guess I'm going to fucking die. It's the end of the world. I started smoking cigars and inhaling them. I started eating like shit. I started like not giving a shit. Like, okay, if this is the end of the world, I'm just gonna live life and be happy. And then if we all get this and die, we die. And then, when it was apparent that there was a survivability about it and not everybody's gonna die and most people are gonna survive, I started realizing, well, shit, I guess I gotta quit smoking cigars and inhaling them, huh? you know. So it was like a interesting circle of life where you're like, oh, well, we might all die. And then you're like, no, we're going to live.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I think part of that, without getting down too big of a rabbit hole, I think there was maybe a lack of leadership culturally in the society where we didn't know. We just didn't
Yeah.
know for a few months there what was every day was some new set of horrors. So I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm glad you found your way through it personally. And
And
again, I'm
especially
really,
you're on the East Coast, though, right?
I'm out east.
So is my family. I mean, they really, I was really concerned about my family. They were less worried than I was. They kept saying, no, we're fine. Don't worry about us. Nobody's getting sick. We're fine. But a couple of their friends got really, really sick. And that's what kind of like shook me. When my mother's best friend wound up at the hospital, I was like, oh shit.
Hmm.
And she was eventually fine, thank God. But you being from the East Coast, I'm sure you must have been like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it was crazy. And I feel like we're gonna come through it somehow. Collectively, it's not over yet. The vaccine, I feel, is like the first step in a long process. But I do
Sure.
feel a little more hopeful as we end the year than I did at the beginning. And I was sick to start the year. I was sick with it, so I'm
That's
okay
with
now.
COVID.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I definitely had it in January and February,
Wow.
and it would not go away. But I made it, and we made it through this far. So we're gonna, we're gonna sally forth and continue. And like I said, I've been very fortunate to have music in my life this year to talk to artists and encourage each other and listen to this music and just escape to my music has been my home, my North Star.
That's awesome. Similarly for me, man, friends and bands, listening to music a lot and being at home and like playing cover songs with my acoustic guitar has helped me tremendously, just playing music. The other day we were joking around with some friends that, if the world goes to shit, we were like joking around, like, well, we need a bunker. What happens if everything goes to shit? We need to make a bunker. And I thought to myself, dude, in a bunker, I mean, if as long as I got my kids and an acoustic guitar, we could have all the fun we need.
Exactly. Exactly. Did you have to learn some kids songs to entertain your kids, or did they like your music?
No, they like their own thing. I mean, my teen is she has perfect pitch voice and it sounds amazing. I mean, she could sing like Beyonce songs and things like that. And um, so she's already driven towards the recording. She's already like I bought her not Pro Tools, Logic Pro and Final Cut Pro for Christmas because that's what she wanted. She wanted to learn how to make audio and make video. For her birthday, I got her the piano, because she wants to work on her piano skills or chords, I suppose. She wants to eventually learn how to write and record her own music. And, I'd say, well, I'm a producer and an engineer. I could do that for you, but it's better if she does learn it on her own. It provides a tremendous amount of just knowledge and technical ability that is really good for her to learn. And then my little one, all she cares about is like singing songs that she says she's writing. So she'll just like sing about her day, like, I'm myself because I need to be me. She likes to sing about being herself and being original. So it's just a matter of like some easy chords, and then she'll just kind of go on her own thing and sing over it.
That's amazing. Little kids are like Randy Newman. They want to tell you about their day in a song.
Yep.
That's um
It's true. It's true.
It's great. Speaking of covers, man, I really love the Pink Floyd cover. I didn't know you were quite the Pink Floyd fan, but Welcome to the Machine off my personal favorite Pink Floyd record, Wish You Were Here. Great cover, and I love that you went in a really cool, like emphasized the very synthy, weird, futuristic stuff in the background on top of the really good playing and singing.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, man, that album is probably one of the most important albums, I think, as far as music evolution and rock evolution. Don't, because I mean, there's different genres of music and different artists have evolved in different ways. But Pink Floyd, for certain, as far as rock or anything progressive or experimental, they were a leader, and that album for sure showed a very eclectic and dark side to them. And especially that song was so futuristic. The first time I heard it, I was completely shocked as a kid when I first heard it, because in context to the rest of the album, it definitely stands out. Um, and I think that it was a song that I first and foremost felt like it could fit on the album great. I had it for several years and I had been experimenting with that synth. And I had found that synth line in in some synth and Pro Tools like 5-6 years ago, and in my head I thought, oh, that would make a great, that's like the Welcome to the Machine thing, and then eventually I wound up tracking it and hearing it and being like, yeah, that is like the Welcome to the Machine thing. And then it obviously came to me that, oh, I must have to cover this song. It was like a hard decision of like, oh, okay, well, I guess somebody's trying to tell me something. I better do this. And it was one of the really fun songs to do on the album. I extended the bridge sections a little bit and added like some ooh and dark vocals in the background, and I got to experiment with it as much as I could without ruining what it was. Pink Floyd is one of those bands that if you're going to do a cover, you can't make it any more perfect than they already have. So all you really should be doing is experimenting a little bit more with it. But you could easily break a Pink Floyd song and have the whole world go, "You fucking ruined it."
I understand. It's a pressure. There's pressure, man. There's some songs that come with pressure. Um, that's cool, man. That's a great backstory there. And I like that you also, of course, in addition to the originals and the cover, of course, you're going to continue to honor all your career music. I love the "How Can I Live" track, which already is, it was like you said at the top, a mix. That song reminds me of a real indicative mix of kind of heavy and also could be chill. Works perfectly in a sort of a more acoustic setting. And yeah, definitely look forward to you doing more of that stuff if that's what you're looking forward to doing live.
Yeah, for sure. I'll have a couple other covers live, and I'll do like a couple other El Nino songs and tinkering around with like a Dream Theater cover and a couple other little things, really interesting stuff, just to make it cool, make it fun for everyone.
Right on, right on. I love this journey that you've begun with this album, and I'm looking forward to when you can get out there and play live again. My heart goes out to your crew and yourself, or whatever you've lost this year. And obviously there are bigger problems in the world than musicians not getting to tour, but our industry is in peril, and I hope we're on the way back. Of course, the one question I think that I would ask strictly about the future for you is, beside this tour and maybe future new albums in this vein, is I know you also have a whole heavy record written with some of your past, Aru and the guys. So like any timetable yet? Are you shopping that for a label yet, or what are you looking to do with that music?
Yeah, well, we just started getting back the mixes. Last time I spoke in the press about it, we hadn't gotten back any mixes yet. And we just started getting mixes back from Kyle Odell. And he has been so fucking amazing in doing this album with us that without him, well, without Diego first getting the ball rolling and then him meeting up with Kyle and Kyle wanting to do the album, without all of that occurring, we wouldn't even be at this juncture where the separation of the band happened less than a year ago and we've had a record finished already. So I think next year would be the right time. We're getting mixes back now and we're realizing just how good it is. I mean, we knew it was good, but hearing some of the mixes back, we're kind of like wowed a little bit about it. And we realize that we really need good management, a great booking agent. We have a booking agent that's great, but we're still going to be looking for great management. We're going to need a great label. If not, if we can't find those things, we'll put out the music ourselves somehow eventually. But we want to at least try to do it some justice if there's some justice that can be had to it. So we'll be passing it around to labels and looking for management and stuff like that. And I hope that it'll get some attention. The songs are really, really good, and I know that for sure. Um, I know that for sure some people should be wowed by it. I mean, I hope that they're wowed by it the same way that we kind of are.
Killer. I'm personally, just as a journal, but also as a fan, I'm equally excited for this new music you've made, but also this potential heavy new album as well. I think both of them, you can live in both worlds, and it's definitely can work for you. And despite the unfortunately the issues and the problems that you suffered from it, I think on the other side of it, we're gonna get a lot of new music from you and the guys. So I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is. Everyone will have more music. I mean, though the guys in the old band are still doing them, and we're going to be doing us. So if anything, it's probably we're just over flooding the market with more music at this point.
Right on, right on. You have been, I will say this as a closer, I appreciate that you have been overwhelmingly positive and generally upbeat. Even the music media is not the best, kindest, or most ethical. Sometimes we try to be. I'm trying to do my best out here. I actually went to journalism school. I think a lot of the music websites don't have that basis, and I'm not saying I'm better than them, but I'm trying hard to keep it as fair as possible whenever there's a situation like you've been through. So I want to single you out and say, I think you've done a really nice job when you have been interviewed and talked about some of the difficulties, that you still kept it very chill and positive. And I think fans need to see that. And I think other bands can learn from that. So thank you, man. I appreciate you. And yeah, man, best of luck with everything. It's been great to catch up with you. Good luck, continued safety and health and well-being to your whole family and everybody back east. Jersey strong forever for you, and New York City. We're like cousins, New York and New Jersey. People don't appreciate.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
yeah,
You
man.
know, people from New York say New Jersey people can't drive, and people from Jersey say New York people can't drive in Jersey. It's kind of like, you know, God forbid they go into each other's states, they forget how to drive.
I'm sure it happens all the time. And yeah, man, just again, just great to see you here. And thanks for sharing your story with Ghost Cult and our fans. And yeah, man, we'll continue to support you and see what comes next.
Absolutely honored to be on with you, brother. Thank you for having me on, and